2XKO is pretty dang good, but one thing I'll be genuinely curious to see once the game comes out is what the player base looks like and if it can break the curse of fighting games being a relatively niche genre, all things considered, when looking at the realm of gaming as a whole. If there's any fighting game that has a chance to really break through into the mainstream in the way its free-to-play contemporaries like Fortnite and the like have, it's this game right here. Riot appears on the outside, to me anyway, to be something of an infinite money printer. And with that being the fertile breeding ground that 2XKO is being born upon, it has the opportunity to have a level of gameplay and aesthetic polish that many titles, and especially those in the free-to-play fighting game space, could only dream to have access to. And it being a free-to-play title cannot be understated in regards to the accessibility it will give this game to reach potentially nuclear heights if it can find the right player base. And herein comes the paradox, but what also makes the Riot Fighter an interesting project. A bigger barrier for fighting games on the whole has been the issue of accessibility to a mainstream market. For the casual player, fighting games can seem like a nigh impenetrable iceberg of combos and memorization, and taking to the online streets to face the sweatiest of competition possible, while it may bring joy to some, for others it feels a little too much like homework or a chore after a long day of soul-crushing work and responsibilities to hit the lab and practice your hit confirms, when you're just trying to unwind and you have Call of Duty right there looking back at you like the Green Goblin mask, tempting you with just one more game before you call it a night. And despite what 2XKO has done to simplify special move inputs and reduce what is viewed by those with a passing knowledge of fighting games as the harshest hurdle, the execution barrier, the nature of the Riot Fighter being a tag game means that it's somewhat doomed to a wretched life of scum and villainy just by virtue of what it is. Tag games are high-key degenerate by nature, especially games with a tag system as freeform as what 2XKO is, meaning that any player intending to jump in will at some point be met with the complexity of trying to figure out tag synergy between characters, as well as trying to navigate unblockable Okizeme setups, unseeable tag mix-up, and all the nastiness that results from having multiple characters on screen twerking at the same time doing Kami knows what. And after getting some time with the game directly, I can safely say that holds true, and have personally been surprised at the lack of kid gloves Riot approached the game with. While there are definitely mechanisms in place like the pulse system to help those new to fighting games do cool stuff and have something of a fighting chance against seasoned players with the simplified combo mechanics, there's an inherent depth to the game in the form of just frame links, tag mix-up setups, and a number of knowledge checks that certainly will be familiar territory to seasoned fighters and that will likely give headaches to those dipping a toe into the FGC for the first time. But herein lies the interesting part of 2XKO. While it very much has many of the trappings of a traditional fighter, what it does differently is its multiplayer. Players can go the game solo like any regular fighting game, but Riot's Fighter places a strong emphasis on duos, where you and a homie of your choosing pick your individual characters and seek to take on the world as a team. And this right here is what I think may be the secret sauce that elevates 2XKO above the competition. Fighting games are a notoriously solitary journey, and many a conversation has been had about this lone wolf nature of fighting games and only being able to blame yourself for your losses, etc., as a key reason for why the games seem to have a difficult time reaching the level of popularity of other genres. And I think that there's a lot of layers to this argument, with some parts I agree with and some I don't. But I do think there's something to be said about the individual nature of a lot of fighting games and how this doesn't necessarily appeal to the masses. But 2XKO's duo system shakes up the status quo in a way that only time will really be able to tell us the significance of. We have a situation where newer players can team up with their sweat lord friends to an extent get carried to new heights off the sweat of their buddy's brow. And this is a super uncharitable representation. But what I really mean to say is importance has to be placed on how the learning process and entertainment value and longevity of this game will change immensely with this partner system. New players will have the ability to learn and grow with their friends in a dynamic and cooperative way that has really never been attempted on such a large scale when it comes to fighting games. The closest we got to this were the days of Street Fighter Cross Tekken, a game that was better than what we deserved, and those who had the chance to utilize the cooperative tag mechanics and work on coordinating with a partner and becoming a well-oiled machine for scrub stomping remember how special it was and how it's an experience that hasn't been replicated since. Low-key, it gives big Pacific Rim energy. And of course, 2XKO far and away is not the first game to ever do tag or even do it well, not even by a long shot. But I do feel it is one of, if not the first fighting game to have human-on-human duos at the heart of its gameplay design on a competitive level and at this scale. And for a vast majority of the populace, everything is better when you do it with a buddy. And now folks will be able to lab, mess around with casuals, grind rank, and participate in tournaments with their bestie in a very real way. And something tells me that this may just be the secret sauce that pushes 2XKO over the edge and into something special territory if it can get over. It won't necessarily be the Riot money or the depth of the complex mechanics or the wallet stomping battle pass system we'll inevitably get. It will be the human component, climbing to the top with your day ones in tow, that I think will push it into the zeitgeist and have us talking about this game for a long time to come. But tell me what you think. Do you think 2XKO has a chance of becoming the next big thing? Or is it damned to languish in fighting game obscurity with the vast majority of other titles, getting its neck stepped on by Mortal Kombat and Tekken till it's eventually forgotten about entirely? Chop it up with me in the comments, and I'll catch y'all again here in the next one.